Grace Kelly was smiling just 2 hours before her death. The road was dry. The car was in good working order. The weather was clear. This explains nothing. They say that in Monaco people don't believe in curses. They say it, but in a whisper. And only when no one from the Grimaldi family is nearby. Because the Grimaldis know. They know that the beauty of this tiny state is a movie set. That behind the facade of casinos, yachts, and eternal sunshine lives something older than money. Older than titles. Older than Monaco itself. A curse. Not a metaphor. Not a legend for tourists. A documented history of a bloodline where happiness always ends the same way. Today, we will examine the facts. Only the facts. And you will decide for yourself whether to believe in coincidences. (1297) January. Night. Francesco Grimaldi knocked on the gates of the Monaco fortress. He wore the robes of a Franciscan monk. Beneath those robes, a sword. The guards opened the gates. An hour later, the fortress belonged to the Grimaldis. Thus began the dynasty that rules Monaco to this day. It began with deception, with blood, with a man who lied for the sake of power. And it was then, according to legend, that something happened which was never recorded in any official chronicle, yet has been passed down by word of mouth in Monaco for 7 centuries. The witch. Her name was Dianora. She lived by the fortress walls. Francesco drove her away, or worse. History is silent on the details, but 15th century chronicles mention a woman who stood at the gates and screamed something at the departing prince. One phrase, one curse. Never shall a Grimaldi find happiness in marriage. 7 centuries, 12 generations. Check for yourself. (1956) Hollywood was saying goodbye to its star. Grace Kelly, the most beautiful woman in America, an Oscar winner, the darling of MGM, was marrying Prince Rainier III of Monaco. The whole world watched the broadcast. The white dress, the diamonds, the prince, a fairy tale. No one noticed that the groom was pale, that the bride didn't smile in the car on the way to the cathedral, that the elderly Monegasques, those who remembered their grandmother's stories, turned away from their television sets. They knew. For 26 years, Grace lived in a gilded cage. For 26 years, she was not an actress. She was a storefront. Not a woman, but a symbol of the state. She wanted to return to the screen. Rainier forbade it. She wanted to leave. She stayed. September 13th, 1982. A mountain road overlooking Monaco. A winding serpentine above the abyss. Grace was at the wheel. Beside her, her daughter Stephanie. The car failed to make the turn. Stephanie survived. Grace did not. The official version, a minor stroke behind the wheel. But there are details that never made it into the official report. Brake marks on the road, too late. The behavior of the car, inconsistent with a simple loss of consciousness. Stephanie has never revealed what happened in those final seconds. She has kept her silence for 40 years. Stephanie Grimaldi survived that crash, but the curse did not release its grip. She grew up beautiful. She became a singer. Her songs echoed across all of Europe. She became a model, a style icon, and time after time, she lost everything she loved. Her first marriage was to her bodyguard, Daniel Ducrouet. He cheated on her publicly. Photographs appeared in the press just months after the wedding. She married him anyway. 2 years later, divorce. Her second marriage was to a circus acrobat. Her father, Prince Rainier, refused to officially recognize the union. Stephanie lived between two worlds, torn between family and love. Again, divorce. A third marriage to another acrobat. Again, separation. Then came the years when she vanished from the public eye almost entirely. Monaco stopped mentioning her name at official events. It was as if she didn't exist, as if she had been erased. They say, in Monaco they call it the Grimaldi fate. When someone of this bloodline begins to find happiness, you wait. You wait. Prince Albert II, Rainier's only legitimate heir, the man destined to carry on the dynasty. He was in no hurry. For decades, Monaco waited for a wedding. Albert traveled. Albert competed in the Olympic Games, bobsleigh, 5 times. Albert smiled at high society parties. And then, the children emerged. Not one, but 2 children born out of wedlock, to different women, in different countries. Albert recognized them officially. Scandal. Monaco shuddered. In 2011, he finally married Charlene Whitstock, a South African swimmer, young, beautiful. On their wedding photos, she was crying, not from happiness. Journalists recorded that right before the ceremony, Charlene tried to leave Monaco 3 times. 3 times she was stopped. According to unconfirmed reports, her passport was being held. Officially, these are all just rumors. But then came the years when Charlene lived apart from her husband. Then, a long illness. Then, treatment in Switzerland. Then, the return. And silence once again. In Monaco, it isn't customary to speak about what happens behind the closed doors of the palace. But the elder Monegasques simply nod. They know everything. The eldest daughter of Grace and Rainier, Caroline Grimaldi, the woman the curse struck 3 times. Her first husband was Philippe Junot, a playboy. He cheated from day one. Divorce followed after 2 years. Scandal. Her second husband was Stefano Casaraghi, a young Italian entrepreneur, handsome, kind. She was happy. For the first time, truly happy. 1990. Casaraghi was competing in a powerboat race. The boat capsized. He was 30 years old. Caroline was left a widow with 3 children. She did not appear in public for nearly a year. Monaco waited. It waited for her to break. She didn't break. She married for a 3rd time, to Prince Ernst August of Hanover. Another marriage, another attempt. They are still together, officially, but they have lived separately for many years now. The curse doesn't always kill immediately. Sometimes, it simply slowly extracts everything from life that makes it worth living. All right, let's stop there. Can all of this be explained rationally? Yes, and it should be. A tiny state with a ruling family lives under the constant crosshairs of the press. Every tragedy is amplified 1,000 times over. Ordinary human misfortunes, divorces, illnesses, deaths, are transformed into a curse specifically because we are watching. This is called confirmation bias. We notice the Grimaldi tragedies and overlook the happy years. Prince Rainier and Grace lived together for 26 years. That is a fact. Caroline has children whom she loves. That is a fact. Albert is healthy and ruling his country. That is a fact. A rational explanation exists. And yet, there is something that science does not care to explain. Why did Charlene cry before the wedding? Why has Stephanie remained silent for 40 years? Why do the elderly Monegasques still look away from the palace when there is a celebration? They know something. Something that isn't found in any official document. In Monaco, there is a place tourists aren't told about. A small chapel near the old fortress walls. The very same walls Francesco Grimaldi took by deception in 1297. They say that even now, you can find a stone there with words carved into it. Very old words, in a language that hasn't been used in Monaco for a long time. They say these are the words of Dianora's curse. They say it, but no one has verified it. Because the chapel is locked. Because the key is kept in the palace. Because the Grimaldis do not allow outsiders inside. Perhaps there is no stone. Perhaps there is. 7 centuries, 12 generations. One phrase hurled by a woman at the back of a departing prince. Never shall a Grimaldi find happiness in marriage. Grace Kelly died on a mountain road. Stephanie lost her mother and 3 husbands. Caroline lost her second husband at 30. Charlene wept at her own wedding. Coincidences? Perhaps. But if you are ever offered the chance to become part of this family, remember this text and think twice.